Hello, today I'll be trying to code these buttons. As I've mentioned before, these are a lot more complicated than my regular geometric stuff because in this case, I don't have an algorithm to follow. There's just a lot of going in the dark, trying to find the light, not finding it, trying lots of things, none of them working, wasting a lot of time, which is very frustrating. But I'll be giving it a try anyway. So wish me luck and let's see what I start from. First off, I have an array here, and the first thing in this array, I have some stop lists. These stop lists are used for the gradient backgrounds on the buttons, because as you can probably see here, they all have gradient backgrounds. They start from a lighter color and then they go to a darker one. So those are my stop lists. I've used the DevTools color picker to get them from this image, and I did that beforehand because I knew it would take me a lot of time, and yeah, it did. And I didn't want to waste your time for that. Next, I have the button text, which is the text that shows up on the button. And then for the first four, I have some icons. Now, I'm using emoji icons in this case, which you can see it's not the case in this original design. And you shouldn't use emoji icons out in the wild. You should use SVG because it's more reliable, it's better for accessibility. But the emoji version is the quick and lazy version because I thought if I'm going to do some SVG icons, then that's going to take me a lot of time, a lot more than doing the actual buttons. And again, it would be really boring because it's just tweaking stuff, trying this and that, and nothing really working. So yeah, I didn't want to waste your time, so I thought I'll just go for emoji icons. And even with taking some ready-made SVG icons, I knew I wouldn't be satisfied with the code because I'm always very critical of that, and I'd end up redoing them from scratch. So yeah, same shit. So that's why I went for emoji icons. Now let's actually get started and write some code. First off, let's read the length of this array. Okay, and now let's loop. So we have for loop here. So for I starting from 0, going all the way up to n, incremented at each step, I have a button. And this button has a text. So, which is a text for the current item. Okay, now I have the actual text. Now I'll be setting a style. And here I'm setting the stop list. I'm passing it to the CSS as a custom property. So I select the current one and then my stop list. Okay, now having done this, I can now go here in the CSS and set the background to a linear gradient that uses this stop list. Yeah, this is not exactly what I had in mind. Okay, this should work, and it does, but they're really tiny there, so let's increase the font size. So font to ends, let's add some fallbacks. Something like this. Okay, now let's uppercase them because I do believe they were uppercased there. Something else I want to do is get rid of that ugly border on none, and let's also get rid of the padding. Okay, now let's also give them some dimensions. So I'm setting a button width and something like 10s, and sorry about the dog. I'm guessing it's lonely. I don't know. Do dogs howl at the moon because they get lonely at night or something? Okay, so yeah, now I'll be setting these button dimensions. Okay. Well, nope. You're wrong. That's not invalid. That's really working, actually. Let's see. Maybe it's a fluke. Yeah, that was. This is going to be my border radius. So 1/8. So okay, I've set that border radius. Let's also set a margin. Something like that. Okay. So now that I've done this, grid autoflow. Okay. Repeat. Is this how it works? I don't really know. I'm kind of incompetent with grid. I think it's the other way around. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this is how it works. Yay, it worked. Okay. Let's also set min height. Okay. And let's get rid of that scroll bar. Okay. So now that I've done this, we can also set a background here. So radial gradient. Okay, something like that. And now I have my nice background right there. So something else I'll be doing is let's set also a box shadow. Box shadow 0, actually inset 0, and here -half. Let's make it have a tiny blur, RGBA, something like this. Okay, and as you can see, I have that right there, and the contrast would be better with color white. Okay, let's see how that works. Well, not for all. So as you can see, for this one and for this one, it doesn't really work. So what we'll do, it's this one and this one, we add an invert one. Okay, and here class, and if we have that invert for the current item, we add a class of invert, otherwise null. And setting null there means we don't even have the class attribute in the generated markup. So check this out. The class is only for those two. Okay, so having done this, let's go back here, invert, color, that's it. Oops, sorry. Okay, so now that I've done this, let's see. Yeah, now it worked. Okay, something else I want to do here is set the icons. So the way that I do this is pretty similar to what I did for the class. So let's just copy paste it. So I'm going to be using an attribute here, and this is my icon. And if I have this icon, just be using it here. So yeah, now this is what attribute selectors are good for. So if I have that attribute, I'll be setting before content and use that attribute icon, and I should see it in front. And I am, as you can probably see, that it's starting to look like something. Okay, now let's give this a background. Linear gradient, that dark stop list. Okay, but float left. Okay. Something else, let's give it a width equal to the button height. Okay, something else I want to do here is set the line height equal to the button height. Okay, and now this covers it all. Now let's also set overflow hidden. Okay. Let's take this out and use an in shadow. So this in shadow. Okay, I need to interpolate this because it's in the value for CSS custom property, and that's why I need to interpolate it. Oh, come on. Again, interpolate that as well. And now here, when I set box shadow, I use that in shadow as well. Okay, that should have worked. I don't see anything wrong, to be fair. I want to increase the width for this. Let's create an icon padding. Okay. So yeah, that shadow is still not working. I just don't get why. Oh, that's why it's not working. Okay, so having fixed that, that's good. So I'm almost done with these, I do believe. I think I also need to reduce the border radius. Because these have a smaller border radius than these ones. Okay, so now that I'm done with the first ones, something with a grid gap. I don't know. A grid gap. There is one. Let's see. How does this work? Oh, okay. Does it work anyway? Well, I don't think I know how to use it. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. It looks a lot better. Okay, so having done this, let's move on to the others. So the ones that don't have that attribute. So not. Okay, that dog is really long. By the way, it's not my dog. There is some car repair shop, and yeah, they have a dog there. So here I'll have some before and after pseudo elements. Set position relative, position absolute on these, with button height, button height as well, background dark color. Okay, now also need to set a content. Okay, that's good. Let's set also a border radius, and this is going to be, let's say, 1.5 button radius. Now let's set left, and here I use calc. I times 100%, and top I set 50%, top, then I set a transform minus 50%, and then minus 50%. Okay, and now for the after, I switch that custom property to 1, and it's at the other end. Okay, that's good. Now let's do something else, because this is going to make things a lot more obvious. Okay, I don't know how to drag. Let's comment this. Oh, now I realize what I was missing here. So yeah, let's do twice, and let's do a padding right. And create that arrow with a clip path. So clip path, now I'll have polygon, and let's start from the corners that I already have. So that's going to be 0, 0. Then I go button height 0. Then I have again still button height along the x-axis. Let's do something like icon arrow is something like 29%, let's say. So what I have here is icon arrow. Next up is 50%, the other way around. So it's 100% horizontally, 50% vertically. Okay. Next up, it's back to button height horizontally and calc 100% minus. And if you're wondering why I'm interpolating it when it's the same unit and using calc, it's because it might be a different unit, so just in case. And now it's button height 100%, and then it's 0 and 100%. So this gives me my thing. Okay, that looks nice. Now let's move on to the other case. So in this case, I've done this. Clip this to a content box. Add a padding here. So button radius. Now add a box shadow. Box shadow, and this is going to be a 0 for the offsets and the blur, and then I'll have a button radius for the spread. Then I'll be using current color, and again here I'm taking this out using current color, set color there. So yeah, that should do it. Now let's compute some stuff to get the rhombus. So the rhombus vertex angle, it doesn't matter if I pick the big one or the smaller one. So let's say the big one is 120 degrees, but I can pick the other one. It doesn't really matter. Whichever I pick is good. So then I have my skew, the rhombus skew angle is going to be the absolute 90 degrees minus the rhombus vertex angle. Then I have the scale factor. This is cosine for the skew angle. Oh, and by the way, since I'm using cosine, I need to import compass. Okay, now having done this, I have the rotation angle here, and this is 90 degrees minus half of 90 degrees minus the skew angle. Okay, so now that I've done this, oh, compass doesn't like this. Yeah, that's really stupid, but yeah, that's the way it is. So next up, I have rotate, and I use the rotation angle. Then I have skew x, and I use the skew angle. Then I have a scale along the other axis, not along the one I skewed. So the scaling factor, and this should work. And as you can see, I have that thing right there. And if I do overflow hidden, that should do it. And here I can remove the opacity. Okay, and I can collapse this as well. Now, what is still missing is that outer shadow, the shadow underneath. And the thing is, let's see how that works. Let's do something like this is quite a big blur, but I need a big blur. This is going to be black. Okay, this is too big, so I need to reduce. So from the spread, okay, and this is not enough. So what I will be doing, I'll be taking this out of here, and I'll have a function. So let's create it here. And this is going to take a relative y offset and a relative blur. Okay, so this relative offset is going to be 1, this relative blur is going to be something like 0.5, and here I'll have my relative offset, and this is going to be my relative blur. Okay, so yeah, here I have my relative blur 0.75. And let's have a couple more. So here I'll have 2. Here I'll have 3. Okay, this kind of looks pretty good. Okay, now I have the look of the buttons, but they're not doing anything, so let's take care of that. So let's we'll be having a translation here. So translate y and 0 pixels initially, and I'll be using this for the shadow here. So I'll be using a calc there. I need to interpolate that part. And it's minus. And here again, I'll be using a calc. And again, I need to interpolate this part. Okay, and so yeah, and when I have something like active, okay, so as you can see, let's add the translation. So transition, also cursor, pointer. Okay, now that I've done this, okay, it looks pretty good. Now, one more thing, I want them to give them a different look on focus, on hover, that. So here, let's set a filter, grayscale, and since one of them is grayish anyway, let's also do contrast so that we have a difference. Okay, now when I have focus, I set outline none and also set filter none. Okay, so this should now work. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'll just leave it like this. I won't be tweaking it anymore. This is what I wanted to show you for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have and you want me to be able to do more stuff in the future, please consider supporting my work. Donations are suspended for now, but you can still make this kitty very happy by getting her something off her Amazon wishlist. Or you can at least vote for the implementation of clip path in Edge, because right now this is not going to work in Edge. Okay. Windows notifications, I hate you. So yeah, as I was saying, you can at least vote for clip path implementation or share this to show you all what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching.